Hey, well, thank you for tuning in to our show. As you all know, this is the YOML podcast, the Year of Magical Learning. Today is the third installment in the conclusion of the lesson we learned from the book Running with Sherman. So let's get to the reflection title and let's talk about what Chris have in mind.
Yeah, so the dramatic conclusion to Running with Sherman. This one's a little off the wall. Kind of in the spirit of range and being a generalist. When a bunch of different things from life mash up together, and it gives you a unique perspective. It's one of those unique human qualities and characteristics that only we can do, right? Like when we're mashing up all these ideas and it spits out this weird thought. Well, this book hit on that, and that's what this reflection's about. So just a quick reminder of what Running with Sherman's about. It's about a little donkey that was named Sherman, who was suffering and on death's door. Basically, he'd been locked up in a shed by his previous owners, not on purpose, but on purpose, but not like to try to harm him, but it was literally killing him. So he ended up being adopted by this family who took him in, who gave him a purpose and got him out moving again and doing what donkeys do best. And eventually, he went from literally being days away from dying to living a thriving, happy, fulfilling life, and hanging out with his friends and competing in ultra marathons and things like that for donkeys. Like it's a really fun story. So the reflection for today, the first reflection was about healing, movement as medicine. So Sherman got moved and he healed. The second one was about purpose and about the transformation that happens when you have purpose and somebody to do it with. And that was Sherman and his little running crew, and kept him going. This one is about, like I said, a little bit off the wall. This one was about, I couldn't see it then, but I get it now. So Christopher McDougall, the author, this is like a true story about his life, obviously, right? He lives in the heart of Amish country, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That's like the Amish country in the country, in the United States. There's a few other pockets here and there throughout the country, but like when you talk about like Amish country, like this is like Amish country is like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They like dominate this place. So he writes a lot about that community that he's not Amish, but I don't know, he likes this community. So he ended up moving in there, and he ended up, it's not like you have to be Amish to live in Amish country. It's just that's like the typical people that live around there are like that. So he owns a property in Amish country, and that was the farm that or not farm, kind of the farmland. He's not a farmer, but like he has a bunch of like animals and like livestock and chickens and stuff like that they raise as a family. And Sherman was on that whatever, call it a farm, I guess, farm. So this whole journey is about, as we've talked about, is about exploring values and finding purpose in a community of people to share together to do the same thing. For me, like as I was listening to the Amish and how they live their life, like that's how the Amish live. I don't know if you know anything. Do you know anything about the Amish culture?
I don't.
Okay, so do you know anything about Amish in general? Like, do you know what I'm talking about when I say the Amish people? All right, so I'll have to give you a visual real fast. So you'll recognize them when you see it. So these are the Amish people, right? Like they always have the little beards. They're from I think they're like of German ancestry, and they came to America and they formed their own little tribe. They wear really plain clothes. Like they always have beards. Big family. They live in these like very very they drive horse and buggies. They do not engage in modern society. Like that is like that. They have a lot of hard rules of like no technology, no cars, no whatever. I mean they live.
But they have a horse and buggy.
Yeah, I know. They
Isn't that technology?
I mean, sorry, like modern day technology. Like they live very basic. Like that's the whole thing with Amish people in general. So when you go to Amish country, everybody is like, so the Amish people, they've been doing this for forever, but they came to America to go form their own to live their values and to share with that community. And they've kind of isolated themselves from the rest of the world. As the rest of the world modernized, the Amish people have always been the same. They stay the same. They live life differently. And as the author talks about in the book, like the Amish, their biggest values, their three core values are health, security, and relationships. So that's what they value most, and that's what they base their community around. So for me, the Amish people have been baffling me for a really long time. So when I was 20, or sorry, not 20, when I was 22, and I just graduated from school, from college, my first job out of school, I actually moved up to, in northern Indiana, we have our own Amish country up in northern Indiana. It's its own little pocket up there, like right out on the border between Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. There's like northern Indiana is like Amish country. And we have the same thing that they have in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, up in northern Indiana. So people riding around in horse and buggies and whatnot. You know, for me, I had just graduated from Purdue, and that's in northwest Indiana. And I'm from Indianapolis, which is in central Indiana. And the job that I got was with an axle manufacturing company up in northern Indiana. So I moved up to this little town called, well, you guys probably all know what South Bend is, where Notre Dame is. I moved to a town right next to South Bend called Mishawaka, and I worked in this town called Elkhart. Just east of Elkhart, which is about 20 miles away from South Bend, is Amish country in Indiana. So if you just keep going past Elkhart, this tiny little city up in northern Indiana, boom, you find yourself in the heart of Amish country. No joke. You are driving past horse and buggies. Like, you know, people are, you know, like they have like these old farms, and they have like, you know, big ass, like, you know, like they cook everything they do. It's very, there's this like really famous place called Shipshawana up in northern Indiana, where they do like all the Amish, you know, furniture that they make. They like hand make all their furniture. They like, you know, and you can go shop. That's where they sell to like make some money and stuff like that. They make their own furniture. They're incredible cookers. Like, I mean, they have like this own little community out there, right? And they only support each other, and they only help each other. And they have a lot of very strict rules, right? So I would see this as a kid growing up in an urban environment in Indianapolis. I mean, I grew up in an urban environment, and now I'm in a whole other world up there. I'm driving by horse and buggies on the way to work and stuff, and I'm like, every time I would see these people, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was like, I don't know what to make of this. Like, I was like, it was just like in a bizarro another world for me. I mean, literally, it felt like I was in another world. But there was something intriguing about the Amish people, and I remember at that time, like I remember asking myself, because I was in like this rat race. I was up in on my own, living in a place that I wasn't familiar with anybody. You know, I was in debt from, you know, like credit cards, and, you know, I'm 22 years old, and I'm, you know, making money in my first job out of school, and student loans, and, you know, I'm miserable by myself in this new place, and all I do is work all day long because that was what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And then I like look over to these Amish people, and they're just moseying along in their horse and buggy. They got their families with them. You'd see them at Essen House, this little, like, you know, Amish bakery place on the weekends, and they're just all having a great time, and they're big families, and, you know, all the stuff. And I was like, I remember at the time, and I asked this question. I used to tell people all the time, I'm like, I wonder if they're the ones that get it right. Like, is it me that's wrong, or is it them that's wrong? But I was like, one of us is wrong here, because like, and I would look at their life, and I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I'm getting this wrong. Like, they just seem so happy and family oriented and value driven and all this other stuff. And I was like, whatever. You know, eventually, after about 3 years up in this area, I was ready to move home. So I moved back to Indianapolis. I was back in my urban environment. I was back in my element, you know, with the normal people again, you know, and by this point in time, I was starting to make a little bit of money. I was advancing in my career. I got married, bought a house, like, you know, did all the normal shit the normal people do, right? You know, quote unquote. And I can really never get it out of my head. Like, you know, maybe I'm missing something, you know. Fast forward to today, right? So I'm reading this book, finishing it. This book had a very heavy influence about Amish people in it. And like, I think I get it now. Fine. That's why the title is like, you know, I couldn't see it then, but I get it now. Like, these people truly live. It's all about meaningful work and meaningful relations with them. Like, they don't owe, they're in debt to no one. They literally will take no credit. Like, they build their own houses, like, as a community together. They only use what they need. Like, they help each other out. They work really hard. They have very close family and friend connections. Like they don't have credit cards. They're beholden to no one but themselves and to their communities and the values that they hold true. And like obviously as this journey's progressed and as you and I have progressed down this whole entire road, like and after I met Amelia and all this other stuff, right? Like this has been the journey we've been on, and like I get it now. It's like they live meaningful work and meaningful relationships. They did have it right. They do have it right. And in 100 years from now and 200 years from now, the Amish people will still be doing the same shit the Amish people do, and they'll probably be happy. And we'll be doing those same rat race over and over again. Even though I was making more money and I was, progressing in my norm in the normal life, like I was never fulfilled. I was never happy. I mean, well, I was happy, but like I was never fulfilled. Like, I didn't ever have meaning and purpose in that life before Amelia and before this journey. And I just look at those people and I'm like, they know something I don't, and now I think I know what they know, so I get it now, right? Like, is the point. So I'm not trying to go be Amish, or anything along those lines, but what I am trying to be is clubbing-ish, what I call it that, I don't know, whatever, and that's kind of the world that we're trying to live and bring into this picture. So yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts. That's the reflection. So I get it now. Like I couldn't see it then when I was younger and I was in the matrix, I guess, if you will. Now I can see it. So yeah, I'll pause
Okay.
there. Yeah.
So when you say you get it now, I mean, you get not the Amish people, but you get what it
I
is.
get the essence. I get the
The
essence of
essence.
the Amish.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
Yeah,
they're value driven and about community and people. I mean, the values and community, meaningful work and meaningful relationships. Like I get
okay.
it. Like yeah.
So how do you see they are doing meaningful work and meaningful relationship?
So they work their asses off by they farm, they like build their own stuff, they make all their own furniture, they help each
But
other out.
what I'm
Like
saying is, what evidence do we see that's saying that's meaningful work for them?
I don't know how to answer that because I'm not Amish.
Okay.
But like
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand Amish because have no idea what Amish
well,
means. I
here
mean,
we can do a quick Wikipedia here for you. By the way, this is a very religious people. Like
okay.
this is like there you go, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This is what Lancaster, Pennsylvania looks like. Just a lot of farmland, people on horse and buggies, and it's Amish country. So they're farmers. It's based around the Mennonite religion. So they were kind of like
So how do you become an Amish?
anybody can be Amish, but usually they're born into it. So they actually have a
So
really weird.
so if you want to be an Amish right now, can you go to the community and say, "Hey, I want to be an Amish"?
Of course,
Can you,
yeah.
okay. So if you don't want to be an Amish anymore, can you move?
Yes, actually, it's really weird. So they have a rule. So there's this thing called gosh, what's it, Ramshama or something like that. What's it called? The Ramshaka. I can't remember what it's called. So when you're a kid in Amish and growing up in an Amish family, they at 16 years old. So they don't do drugs, they don't drink, they have very hard rules like of how they live their life. Not hard, they have very strict rules about how they live their life to their values, right? And Rumspringa is what it's called. And they when they're 16 years old, they get like 2 years to go ape shit. Like, and they go like buck wild. They're like literally they have no rules. You can do anything you want. You can do every drug you want to do. You can go party. You can go do whatever. Like, I mean, and they throw some crazy raging parties. The kids do, right? Like these 16 to 18-year-olds. And at the end of that Rumspringa is when that time frame is that they do this stuff. They have to declare whether or not they want to continue to be Amish or not. A lot of them don't. And they decide, no, I'm going to go away from the community. I'm not going to come back, and and I'm good. But the ones that stay, they stay. It's like Mormon almost, It's like once you commit and you're in, you're in. It's no different than what we talk about with like the core values quest, of like this is this test to get in here, right? We don't want everybody. We just want the people that want to live these values and to focus on meaningful work and meaningful relationships in our community, right? And you can enter the community as well. I don't know what the outside ritual is to become an Amish person technically. But I'm sure you can. I'm sure they're not like a closed community where it's like you have to be born into it. I'm sure you can come into it.
Okay. I mean, sounds like, I mean, to me, there's a fine line between now an organized religion, aka a matrix,
Right.
and the actual tribe that you want to be, because it, you talking about a tribe like company. It's
Yeah.
people can say, hey, a tribe is like a cult or a organized religion whatsoever, because you believe in a certain set of principles and core values, and every
Mhm.
single of these tribes, whether they're good or bad, depending on your perspective, will have very similar, I guess, sets of standards that you follow. Like, you believe in certain things, core values. Company believes in certain core values. The Amish believes in certain core values. The Catholic believes in certain core values. But I think what separates the belief is the freedom to choose.
Mhm.
This is the reason why I'm asking. If you don't have the freedom to choose, and you don't have the freedom to um, be who you are, then that is not going to be a I mean, I would want to differentiate that from company, right?
Right.
Because from my perspective as a company member, is, I want to be in here. I go through the trials and tribulations to find out who I am and find the people that has common values, because that's what I want. No one told me I had to do it.
Right.
And if it doesn't align with me, I'm not obligated to act in a way that is in conflict with who I am and what am I supposed to express. I think that's something that I just want to put out there, as far as, I mean, the thing is, you can say, you can call like company a code, you can call it whatever. It's just because it resembles a lot of these things, but how it operates determine whether or not it has the best of intentions or it doesn't. Like, that's why a lot of these
Yeah.
matrix is it's so hard to distinguish. So we get scammed by the matrix and say, hey, the matrix is here to protect you. It's gonna be this,
Right.
just we just been going to um you know take away some of your freedom, but in return you get, safety, this and blah 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 and all that. And so, just like you're looking at Sherman, I mean, I don't want my donkey to be in the rain. I don't want donkey to maybe run into some kind of a muddy place and get stuck in there and suffer with the animals trying to get him or whatever. So I put him in a shed, right? So you look at the analogy from Sherman's perspective is put him into a nice, cozy little
Right.
shed. It's protected from the elements,
Stability.
protected, right? You get the warm and cozy protection, but that's the thing is, but that thing in the grand scheme of thing, right? Um, it sounds good. It sounds like, hey, this is the best thing for you. When Why would you go out there and expose yourself to danger,
Yeah.
expose yourself to the elements, and be completely in a place where you're vulnerable to having things happen to you? If I
Right.
put you in the shed, nothing would happen to you. You have nothing to worry about. You protect it. But that's what I'm saying is there is a fine line between what you're supposed to be and what it's good for you.
Yep.
Because a lot of times we look at, you know, the Western world, like United States, right? We have all these protections, but are these protections, quote unquote, the matrix? Are they good for us? Are they, because you're talking about,
No, I
hey,
mean, they're not. I
I'm
mean,
sheltering you from, let's say, a lot of time we talk about, like, hey, sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? And this is one of the reason why ignorance isn't bliss, because the thing is, you don't know anything. You
right.
were told to be in a shed, and you have no idea what your purposes are, and you're just withered away in a seemingly, supposedly, safe haven.
Right. I mean, it's
But
the whole coddling of the American mind kind of thing,
yes, it's like, hey,
it's we want to protect people. We want people to feel safe and safe spaces and all this other stuff. And you know, that
Safe
everybody,
spaces, no, like you can't oppress anyone,
of
blah blah
course we want
blah.
that. Like, I mean, of
But
course we want that. Like,
you do, but at the same
but that's
time,
not the best
it's
thing for
not who
people.
we are. I mean, because
Right.
as a donkey, yeah, if you want to, you cuddle, I don't know, something that needs to cuddle. That's great because that's what he wants. But
Right.
for a donkey, his DNA, his manifestation of the donkey needs to be outside, needs to be jumping around. He has the energy to jump around. He has the ability to escape. He has the ability to weather the rain, the ability to weather the storm, the snow, the hardship, the heat, whatever. He has that ability. He wants to do that. He wants to express the enduring of those elements. And if you don't let him, Sherman will become, the sick and at death door Sherman. But if you
Yeah.
let him become who he needs to be, he become the Sherman he's supposed to be. And so to
Exactly.
me, it has to come at the price. The price that you have to pay is because the thing is there are certain I guess environment that suits you better than the thing that other people say, hey, based on some sort of theory or concept or whatever they believe in, say, hey, you are better off protected. Because for me, as a for me, I truly believe that I'm born to be a strong person, a strong man. I mean, I have wide shoulders, right? I
Hmm.
mean, I have wide shoulders because and I have like big like shoulders and big arm and big chest, right? And I'm short, but I have big chest. It's like I have much more physical strength, upper strength and lower strength, right? I
Yep.
can endure that, and that's what I do. It's because I can carry things much higher than myself, right? Because that's something for me, even though it looks to other people as that's painful, but it isn't for me. I love doing it because
Right.
for whatever reason, I was born to do that. I have the DNA to express that, and so if you take me, for example, and you pamper me and you make sure that nothing, no hardship, no physical pressure comes to me, like no heat, no cold, no whatever. Like you and I take cold showers, right?
Right.
What the fuck do
I
I
hate
take
it.
cold shower?
I hate it, to be honest.
No,
Every
I
fucking
love
day.
cold shower.
No. I like the after the cold shower. I fucking hate every single time I have to go. All right, like I have to like psych myself up to go
But
walk
that's
into that
that's the
cold
thing is
shower
for
every
me
single
is
time.
I like cold shower. I missed it if I don't do it. So the
Right.
thing is that the big difference between forcing yourself to do something because you think it's good
Right.
and liking it. Because, for example, do you like mud? You don't like mud, but the
Yeah, actually,
pigs do.
I don't
The
mind mud.
pigs
I
do. But
yeah,
it's just
I
an
get it.
example. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
to make a point, right?
Right.
To make a point, like pigs likes mud,
Mhm.
right? It jumps into it and they play in it. People don't. I mean, let's say you take some animal that is very clean, like maybe a peacock or something like. It
Right.
doesn't go into the mud.
Right.
It just
Right.
doesn't do it. But the pigs, when you see mud, it jumps in. You know what I mean? So the thing is, the conditions for each the environment and conditions for each individuals. I truly believe that's going to be different based on his the DNA and the gene that he's given. And that to me isn't going to be like, hey, because I was uh belong to a certain culture or a certain religion that I'm going to become that all the time. Sometimes it doesn't fit and I have to leave. And
I agree.
that's the reason why for me is you have to give the individual the ability to self-assess himself or herself and then decide where he wants to be, whether
hundred
that's
percent.
inside company or outside company. Because for me, it's like I
That's the
don't
rum
want
that's
somebody
rum
who is
Springer.
right.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody who isn't um doesn't believe in the balance, the core
I agree.
values, the number one core values. They believe in the learning, the self assessment, the self reflection, right?
Right.
If you don't believe in those, right, then you don't belong in clubbing, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's all
Yeah,
right.
it's totally okay. Like, I mean, there's a community for you somewhere, but go find it. Like, but it's not this one, and that's okay. Like, I mean, everybody cannot be Amish. Like, I'm not gonna lie. So, like, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Because you
as I
said
was,
you want to be Amish,
I don't
even
want to
though
be. It reminds
even
me.
though you say you get it, but
Well,
you get the essence. It's not you're not getting,
exactly.
right. Your essence is that you have to be who you are, and go back to the same saying I'm saying, like, for the
Don't
past
say it.
five.
Don't beaver it. Hang on. Put a pin in it. So the it reminds me of like Ray Dalio and Bridgewater Capital, right? Like, I get his culture. I don't want to be in that culture, but I get it. I respect what he's building, but I don't want it. That doesn't align to me, right? Like it's not the kind of culture that I want to be in. Now, there's this other company called Next Jump that is very much aligned to like what we believe in company. I would actually want to go work at Next Jump. It's a perfect alignment, and they're very similar companies because from the DNA of it, right? They both have the same mindset of this is about meaningful work and meaningful relationships as they build their company around it. We both agree that no matter what, those two companies are always going to be beholden to the dollar, and that's not what we want to be beholden to. We want to be beholden to the essence of our mission, which is balance and things like that. And that's why when we started this, it was culture first. They started with the business and they built an amazing
Well,
culture around
I
it.
think it's about people first. I
Right.
mean, the culture comes because once you have the people first. Because when I say that, it's because in company we encourages you to self-reflect, right? I'm not going to let you into the company unless you know who you are.
Right.
I mean,
Or at least you're willing to find out. I mean,
this is the key first principle of company is
right.
You have to know who you are, because no one is asking themselves who they are or who they want to be, and
well, not
that's
no one,
the
but
first step.
not everyone.
Well, I'm talking about like less than 1%.
Right.
Less than 1% people are asking them, okay, because everybody say, hey, I got to be this, I got to be that. Where you get that from? Oh, the TV, my parents,
I mean, that was the life I was describing. That was the life I was describing, when I was younger, when I was like, when I would drive by these people and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, talk, use modernity. It's around. Like, you have phones, you have internet, you have electricity, you have why not cars? Like, use it. Like, that's if you see what I highlighted down here, working hard is considered godly to them. And that's why technological advances have been considered undesirable, because it reduces the need for hard work. This is what they value in this community. That's why they don't progress. They said, fuck all the convenience of everything, like we were talking about. They said, I don't want you to make my life easier. I want to work hard. This is what we do. We care about family, security, working hard, and caring, and God. I mean, those are the things that they care about it. And
I mean, you think about it. I mean, you think, you go back to the analogy of the donkey. I mean, you put a donkey in a shed, you don't have to do shit. You get fed like 5 times a day, right? You shelter from the elements.
I gotta write it down.
So that's the thing is, yeah. I mean, hey, it's life is grand for the donkey, but yet the donkey is dying. That's what I see, right? So we can't really judge somebody's on.
Futurism. Don't be a donkey in the shed.
And we don't finish yet.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. That's a great one. Yeah.
But you think about it, right? Because the thing is, you look at the Amish people, say, because I don't have no idea what Amish people are. I'm just guessing, right? And I believe they have the reasons, and the reason, however they do it, regardless how ridiculous it seems to other people, seems to us, whatever the case, it doesn't really matter, because you can look at the donkey. I'm putting a donkey in a safe place. I'm protecting him from the danger of the wolves, the dangers of the mosquito, the flies, the bugs, the pests, and all that. I protect him from the rain. I feed him. He don't have to go out and do any shit, right? He is pampered into his life. He should have like double his life, his life, lifeline, just because he has no struggle, but yet the donkey is dying. So to me, you look at me, right? Because I have the muscles, the upper muscle. I need to do some shit, because if I don't do some shit, right? Then it doesn't feel like me. So a lot of time when I was younger, I break things. I break things all over the house. Man, I chopped down like when my dad planted all the trees. I went out there and chopped all down, right? For whatever reason, it needs to express. I need to use the energy that's in me.
Right.
Look at a donkey. He has the same similar characteristics. His trait is he has to go and gallop down the fucking, you know, hills or whatever.
Right.
He need to have that. You look at like we do some like cold shower, right? Some people love it, some people hate it, right? Because some people, pigs love mud. You know, maybe like doves, like white dove don't, right? For example,
It's a stressor. What we love is a stressor. Like we love to be stressed.
it's not stressor. It's not a stressor because
it
it's not a
is a
stressor
stressor.
because it to me it's not a stress at all. Stress meaning you're going against something you don't want.
No,
right?
no. I meant we love to. I didn't say it had to be a bad. I didn't say stress was a bad thing. Like there is bad stress and there's good and then there's good stress.
It's a bad meaning in terms of the word stress in our modern world.
Yes,
So
exactly.
so this is one of the things. It's hard to use a word that we have been abused for so long. Say, hey, stress, right? I mean, yes, go back to the early ages. A stressor word maybe more mechanic, more like a
pick up more rocks or
a concept for somebody. But
like
nowadays, when you mention stress, it's like, fuck, this is something I don't want to do.
Bad stress. Yeah, right.
And so we want to make sure that we don't want to use the word without a disclaimer. That's why I want to make sure that I stop and say, hey, stressor in different sense.
Look, the Amish people stress themselves out in a good way all the time. They do not allow modernity and new technologies to make their life easier. Like they purposely stress themselves out.
Right, because this is the same thing I'm talking about. Because if you have a physical strength, you want to carry that fucking weight. You didn't want to go like without anything. You carry the weight because it makes you feel good.
Right.
So it's like using technology is like not having weight. Let's say you have. I mean, for you, like you're a a physical, healthy individual, right? You don't want people to push you in a wheelchair everywhere.
No.
Why not? It's technology.
I know. I mean, I don't want
exactly because you have the faculties. That faculty need to be utilized. If you don't use it,
if I had to accept it, I would. But like I would.
No. It's not about have to or not have to. It's about you want it or don't.
I would never
want
choose that. I would never choose it.
Exactly. My point is the freedom to choose. Because I mean, the thing is, that's why I don't understand why they don't use it. But I do see there is maybe they have their own reason. Maybe because because if you're asking, like, if you are from a different world and you look at me, right? You say, why is that idiot carrying this rocks around the house or this heavy weight around the house for? What an idiot!
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean,
But that's the thing is because for me, I need to, like, for you need to be running, right? Or you're walking or playing tennis, exert some kind of energy to because you have the faculty of physical abilities. You need and you want to. The point is you want to use it. You want to carry that rock. You want to run uphill, right? Some people who has the strength, they don't want to run downhill. When you have a very skilled swordsman, they don't want to fight no one who is way below their level. It's no fun. Just like you go and play tennis with a 2-year-old. Right. You go play tennis with a 2-year-old. Like, imagine that. Imagine you playing tennis with a 2-year-old. Or imagine me playing football with the 2-year-olds.
I wouldn't do anything. I would just. I mean, I wouldn't move.
Would you want to do that? This is what would you want to spend?
No, I want to challenge myself. I don't play tennis.
But that's my point. That's my point exactly. It's about the want, because you think about it. If you are so good that you playing
I'd quit.
as
I'd be
as
like, this
if
is boring. Yeah.
exact my point exactly, because if you look at the example I just laid out for you, right?
I
When
like
you
losing.
have the faculty, no,
No, I
no,
do. I love losing. I really love it. I hate it, but I love it. It's like taking
but
cold showers.
my
I
point
hate
is
it, but I love it.
beyond the individual perspectives, right? The individual perspective is the most important because it determines whether or not you're doing what you need to do. It is the self expressions of your gene. If you have that gene, if you have a gene that thinks, you love to think. If you have the gene to speak, you love to speak. I mean, I'm telling you that for you, when you speak, you get more energy,
Yeah.
right? When you meet people, you get more energy. On the other hand, a lot of people, when they go and talk to people, they get exhausted. It doesn't. I mean,
It depends on what I'm talking about. I get really exhausted when I'm talking to people that are not
it's about the
purpose-driven
what?
people.
It's about
Like,
the
I mean,
expressions of the gene that you have,
right.
right?
When I recognize that I'm talking to somebody that is just is that example of what I was saying at the beginning of this, and that's what they care about. Like, I immediately, my brain just is like, I don't know how I'm gonna carry on this. Can we just end this right now? It's like I don't want to
But
continue.
the thing
I
is,
don't want to give you my energy. You don't deserve my energy.
the point I'm making is, when you have a gene that needs to express, for example, for you, you are a talker. You love to talk. Yes,
About stuff that I care about. But yeah,
there are certain topics that you don't want to talk about. Yeah, I understand that. Same thing with Snow. He loves teaching, but certain things he just don't like about teaching.
right,
But the point is, he still wants to teach, rather than not teach at all. For you,
right, of
you rather
course.
talk than not talk at all,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So you look at Sherman, he'd rather go out and jump around rather than jump at all,
Yeah. If
right?
you took away my ability to speak, I don't know, man. That'd be
You'd be
pretty
devastated. You'd
hard.
be
Yeah,
depressed because you're
yeah,
gonna wither like Sherman.
yeah. I mean, you're right.
You think about it. If you suppress who you are, to
Yeah,
be like everybody else, and this is to me is a pandemic of greatest proportion.
yeah. Every society is going so much further down the road of everybody's the same, equality. No, like that's the message
I
you
mean,
get
you're talking about
across the board. Like,
equality between men. You're talking about equality between different people
I,
because you and I are not equal.
no, I don't want
We're different.
equality.
We're
Like,
different because I can go, you can't. You can talk, I can't. All right.
right.
I can't sell shit.
I
Okay.
don't want you to have the same purpose as me either. Like,
so
I mean,
so when you're different, by definition, it's not equal. And then you go, and then they go and say, hey, women also have equality. Equality of what? I mean, we're not looking for the same thing. I mean, I don't want my wife to be earning as much as I do because I don't want her to. I want to be the provider, and I
sure,
want
but
her to.
she could want that too. I mean, but that's
But she doesn't. My
but she
point is, she
doesn't. So
doesn't. I mean,
if that's fine, then that's her choice.
most women don't want
Well,
to.
I don't know that's the case. I mean, I
No,
don't want to go down that road
I
because,
think
like,
they're
I
being
don't want to.
brainwashed. No,
Well,
because
I don't want to. It's keep it on the purpose conversation because, like,
and that is purpose. This is
their
the
purpose,
purpose because
right?
I mean, if I mean, yeah, I mean, I think you get to the point where you brainwash as well and say, hey, we shouldn't be talking about this topic, but it's about purpose. Women are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. They hated it. The corporate world, they hated it. Okay,
Well, not all, but yeah. I mean,
I'm not talking about women in general. 99%. I'm talking about the 99%. The 1% of people I'll go there and blah blah blah, right? They are delusional.
well, I don't know. I mean, like,
Because and so yes, it's a controversial topic, but it has to be told because we're talking about purpose. When you're not being who you are suppressing who you are, right?
I agree.
And to me, it's very important to understand that because let's say you told me that I have to be aggressive or this or that or whatever, but I just want to be a fucking fisherman that go catch a few fish a day,
Sure.
and go play for a few hours, talk to my friends. That's the guy I want. But not everybody is gonna want that. Somebody like Elon, he cannot do that. His gene is completely different. His gene is he has to build something, and he has that's
Right.
how he is. I don't want to be
hang on.
Elon, and Elon can't be me. You look at the woman, you look at the man, they have different gene
Wait,
expressions,
wait, wait,
and
wait,
they
wait, wait,
need to
wait,
express
wait,
what
wait, wait.
they.
Pause for a second. We agree on this, that every single unique person has a purpose, whether they're man, woman, whatever gender. It's regardless of race, gender, whatever. They all have a unique purpose, not the same purpose, but a unique purpose individually.
Well, their own purpose, and that's what
Right.
I'm saying is my gripe with the society, and I want to make sure that people understand what I'm saying is you need to wake up and say, well, you have to ask yourself who you want to be rather than let society dictates what you supposed to be. And the
That's
society today
I agree
are
with.
pressing women more than most to be something different than who they're supposed to be.
I don't disagree with anything you just said, and I definitely am in line in thinking with what you're thinking there. I would say that everybody that's in the corporate environment is being pressured, whether you're a man or a woman, into
Right.
an environment that into being a donkey in a shed. Like I mean, like it's not natural for anybody, but wanting to be, um, I don't blame somebody if
I
for
just
wanting a
I
seat at the table, because that's a natural human, because you want to be
it's
around community, you want to be around people that care about people, and that's
well,
and we've trained people to want to
yes
go
and
down that.
no, yes and no, because I'm looking at the perspective of like I've never seen like I mean when I say these, right, of course there's always exception, okay, but I don't see like woman warriors going to fight for their country. Like when I'm talking about warrior, I'm not talking about like, hey, I'm a support person where I look at data or whatever. That's different. Well, I mean, look back at the like, hey, I'm carrying a spear, I'm carrying a shield, right? How many woman warriors are there? They don't have
I
the
don't know.
gene for that. That's what I'm saying is you have to express the gene that you are given. Most women aren't given the characteristic of the physical gene to express the arm strength or whatever. They have the ability to endure a lot of things that men can't endure. And they should
For
be
sure.
who they are versus say, hey, women should have equal rights. Well, equal rights in what? Equal rights in going to do what? Right? You go into the boardroom. I mean, the thing is, to me, women and men are completely different. They are complementary. So why are you asking them to do what men does, and why are you asking men to do what they do? It just
I mean,
to me it's silly.
I don't I understand where you're going with this. I think we're walking on a delicate line, which is fine. Like I'm not afraid to approach these topics. I like I think we're a little off topic from what we were talking about here, right? Like of it, not that I want to discount what you're saying, because
I
I
mean, but
want
we're
to be
talking about
respectful
the
of
Amish
it.
people. They have their reason for doing things, right? And
Right. That's
I
yeah.
see that's the expressions of their purpose. And
Right.
I'm just calling out that hey, the reason why companies started is because people are not being who they are, especially people in the corporate, especially people who
Oh,
are
I agree.
completely,
Yeah, 100%.
is
I
in
don't
the
think
system from the beginning. Only a glitch in the system will allow you to wake up. You got a glitch. I got a glitch, right?
right.
My glitch came from because I'm not like entrained into this culture from the beginning. I came from another country.
Right.
I see a crack, I see a crack. You have an atomic bomb that allows you to say, allows forces you to stop and reevaluate yourself, and then you notice a crack. That's what I'm
Right.
saying is how can you see the crack unless you have the ability, the sometimes you call it unfortunate atomic event, right? You
Right.
have an atomic event. I saw the crack because I wasn't entrained into this culture. I was a completely different culture because of the overlap allows me to see a crack in the system. This
Sure.
is how you wake up from the matrix. You wake up from the matrix. And so to me, if I were to go and tell anyone what I'm saying to you today, most people would say I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And this is the big problem because no one is going to be able to say, well, it makes sense to me. I'm going to wake up now. To me, it is so hard to wake someone up. They're not going to wake up.
I agree.
And this is
Well,
why I asked you before is if I have the ability right now to time travel back into when I was 18 or 20, I still don't know what I would tell myself to wake myself up. I still don't, because that guy is a fucking stubborn guy that won't listen to me. Thinks I'm a scam artist, a trader, whatever it is.
Right.
He won't listen to me, and so it is very difficult. And so that's my gripe. It's people don't they can't distinguish between what's a dream and what's reality. And so if I were to tell them what I tell you, they can say, well, you are one, crazy MF, whatever they want to call me. Sure. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, like whenever, this is kind of my point of the reflection, was like when I used to see the Amish people, I was like, these people are fucking crazy. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I mean, but
the thing is, it took you how long into,
right?
How long did you, I mean, if you, let me ask you then, if you never had the atomic bomb, would you understand them now? Would you get it now?
No, but I still, even back then, it made me question when I saw them doing what they were doing.
You can question it, but you didn't get it.
I guess I know I didn't get. I'm saying, like, it's still like I wanted to try to understand, but then I got sidetracked.
You got distracted.
To like reality. Right. So
my point still stands is that if you never had a atomic bomb, you would never have woken up. You would never understand. You would never get it now. You would never get it.
I guess I can't ever speak in absolutes, but I know that this catalyst.
I'm asking you, what's the chance? What's the chance of you getting it?
I don't know.
If you never had the atomic bomb.
But then it goes back. This is a difficult conversation or difficult topic.
It's always been difficult.
Because then it goes back to, do I want that?
We're going against society. We're going against the grain.
Well, no, that's not why it's difficult. Because for me, the difficulty is, while I appreciate that I can see this now, that came at a dramatic cost, and that dramatic cost, if it meant that I still looked at Amish people and was like, I don't get it, but I still had Amelia here, like that would be a different situation, right? So, like, that's why I'm saying it's always a delicate balance.
But that's a two different conversation, because
I know it's always. I mean, I can't.
What happens is already happened, and like I said, atomic bomb is something that you can't control. Sometimes it comes at you. Sometimes we don't know how it came. Oh,
I've processed it at this point in time, and we can have this conversation where I can say, where I can hear what you're saying and look at it impartially, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's still hard for me to untwine those things together when I think of, like, if I wanted to just speak in definitively saying, would I rather see what I see now versus what I saw before? If it meant that Amelia was still here, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but now that that's the case, like that's not the reality. Now that is the case, and if I had to pick between the two, of course I would rather choose this, but I would rather choose this without having to experience what I experienced to see that. But that being said, like, and just making sure that foundational element is there. Like, I continue to go back and see the similarities in what we're doing. That's the thing is,
you and I would never be outside of the matrix and be in this situation. If like we say, if nothing happens to me, nothing happens to you, you and I will be in the matrix until we die, basically, and we're basically a tool for the society. Whoever is controlling the society is.
We would miss the point. I mean, like, and that's
like everybody else,
right?
Like everyone else,
except for the Amish people and a few. Like, the funny thing about, like, there's so many similarities to what we're trying to do with the Amish people. The more that look at this, like members who don't conform to the community expectations will be convinced to repent or excommunicated. If you're excommunicated, you're shunned. Like, it's a social contact. But blah 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 blah. Almost 90% of Amish teenagers choose to be baptized and join the church. They like this life. Like, they see the value to it, and they see the community and all this other stuff, right? Like, and then you think of all the things they put them through when they're like the stressors of life and working hard and family and community and like all these other things. Like, when you see the Amish people, when I'm seeing this from a macro level, if I'm zooming way out, like when we're talking about it, examining it right now, I see a community that's always going to be limited in scope to grow. It'll only ever grow at a very, very small pace.
But
it'll be here for another fucking 700,000 years if they continue to do it, because the people that are there are believers of what they're trying to do, and it makes their life meaningful and it gives their life purpose. So, like, it's it's one of those things
I mean,
where
it's different. It's different for different people because for me, it's like if I say I can only speak for myself, and for me, I don't really care whether or not we're going to the moon, right? Because
yeah,
you look at me, you ask me what would I want, right? I want to build something to take Earth to the moon, or go live on an island, fish, for a little bit, go have coffee
right.
for a little bit, and go talk to my friends for a little bit. That's the life I
That's what they're
want.
doing.
Other
Right. That's
people
what.
other people are completely different. They want to
Right.
bring new technologies, new things, go to space, go to the next galaxy, look at the new stars or whatever. I mean, that's their expressions. That's what I'm saying is, for them to be, they don't care about the slow to growth. Like, it doesn't. It individually
Oh,
different
I know.
for
That's
different
I
perspective,
meant that. I meant
because
that as a good thing. I meant that as a good thing. They don't want to
nothing is
grow.
universal.
Right.
Nothing's
They don't.
universal because not
Right.
everyone wants to say, "Hey, I was put on Earth to, um, you know, advance civilization to the next whatever." I don't know. What's the next thing, right? Hey, we can space travel to, another universe, another galaxy, whatever. I mean, who to say that's my job? Who to say that's my calling, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is, a lot of people will look at Amish people and say, hey, these people are slow to progress. It sounds like a bad thing, but
No. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at
but
all.
I'm
I'm actually.
saying, I'm not saying that you're saying it, but
Right.
I'm saying the saying that everybody would take away from. 90% of the people would say that's a bad thing, because
It's so weird. It's
we were
so counterculture.
told we were told that's a bad thing.
Right.
You know, and I know it, that if we had to bet, like, hey, we say this sentence, right, and let like 1,000 people vote, is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Majority, and I'm willing to say, majority of people are going to say, hey, that's a bad thing. We want progress. We want advancement. We want
I
better
agree.
thing, right? Because
Yeah.
we were told that. Because no one has told us, hey, maybe that's
It's
not.
the dopamine nation. It's the more and more and more. It's the, instead of focusing on I mean, like I go, if I had to guess, if Google will be around in 100 years, or if the Amish people will be around in 100 years, I know the answer, and 100%, like all day, every day, it'll be the Amish people will still be here, and their community will not be rapidly growing. Google may have gone from 1 employee or 2 employees to 300,000 employees. I don't even know how
It
big their
go from
population.
1 to 3,000 to one again. That's the way technology works.
Exactly. Like the Amish community, maybe 3,000 people, but then in 100 years, it'll be 3,500. And in 1,000 years, it'll be 5,200. You know what I mean? Like it'll steadily grow because people want to embrace that life, and they find meaning and purpose around it. And like, it's such
It's
a
sustainable.
counterculture.
It's
It's
sustainable.
sustainable.
You look
Right.
at Google,
Exactly.
it's not
Right.
sustainable. Something is going to replace it. Sometimes it's going to go out of business or whatever. And so
Yeah.
to me, that's the thing is, a lot
So
of
many Amish.
why do we as people believe that we have to achieve the same
Oh,
thing?
there you go. Amish people in Ohio, and in 2010 it was 58,000, and in 2018 it was 78,000. There's, I mean, it's like good steady growth. Like it's not some crazy explosion, or whatever it may be, but it's like just steady as you go. Actually, this isn't. Sorry, I interrupted you on that one. No, I was just kind of curious. Yeah.
Like I say, I see your point, but like I'm saying is, we are being conditioned to accept the same thing,
Yeah.
whether or not we believe in it, right? Because we have to accept, because
6.6. That's a very sustainable growth rate.
you're right.
If you showed that to Wall Street, they'd be like, get them out of here. This business is floundering. 6.6% growth over a decade. That's fucking shit. I need to, like, we need to exit, make a shitload of money, or, I mean, hell, there's probably more people that work at Google than are Amish. Like, how many people work at Google? So there's 367,000 in the US. How many, Google.
118,000, right?
No, how many employees is Google? 139,000. There's almost a third of the
Mm-hmm.
Amish population in the world that work at Google. Now, how many of those people, how many of those people do you think will still be living the Google culture in 50 years and 10 years?
50
And how many,
years? I mean, they have changed so quickly. Some only last 6 months.
even if Google got up to 10 million employees, who do you think is going to be around in 100 years from now?
I mean, Google is going to be gone so much fast that you don't even realize it's gone.
Poof. Is it even a real culture?
No, it's not.
It's not. I mean, it's
It's
not like
you know why it's not, because you and I have been through it, but a lot of people don't. That's why I want to bring it up. Is it's not because it's not who they are. You are
it's not who they are.
told.
Right.
You are told to embrace this culture.
Yes. These people have to decide, and 90% of them choose to stay in this shit. And what the Amish people do. 90% of them, they're grown, they're born and raised, and they still say, you know what, I want to stay. Like the 10% that leave, they're like, fine, good riddance, I guess. You're shunned from the community. Literally, you're shunned. You're excommunicado. And that's fair. I mean, like, not ever. Remember when we started the core values quest, and we were like, these people are not a fit for what we were trying to. Not everybody.
Right.
I mean, there were some of them.
Because what you're saying is, many will take the quest, but few will.
Yeah, many are called, few are chosen, or whatever. I think is what you always said, right? Like,
yeah, because you disagree with me.
Well, yeah, I was like,
you say, hey, everybody should. I say, no.
It's not like. I mean, I agree. I agree now, but like, my thought was like, for a culture to grow, it needs to grow exponentially. Like, it needs to be a Google. Like,
no,
mindset,
it needs to grow sustainably, not exponentially. Right. Google grew exponentially. Facebook grew exponentially. MySpace grew exponentially. Yahoo grew exponentially. What happened to Yahoo?
I mean, shit. I mean, all these cultures are, they're like literally like shooting stars and then they blow up. I mean, they're supernovas. They just, I mean, like, big explosion. I mean, look at like WeWork. I mean, if you've seen that documentary on Hulu about not documentary, that show on Hulu with Anne Hathaway and Jared Leto, when they portrayed the WeWork founders, she would look at him every single day and say, you're a supernova, like his wife. And like, I mean, and they took a company from 0 to whatever it was, 50,000 employees and blah blah blah, but then it all collapsed. Like, I mean, it's and then now, I mean, they're still around, but like, do you think WeWork will be around in 20 years and 50 years?
It's a blink of an eye. No. It's a blink of an eye compared to these Amish. I don't know how long they've been in, but
well, is beginnings of the church, they came over 1525.
1525.
The term Amish was first used in 1710 as a term of disgrace
but you're still talking about 300 years.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, it's so like these people are no different.
Over 300 years old versus Google or versus, WeWork, whatever. Right. WeWork compared in the timeline to this is like a blink of an eye.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And they what's the other thing is that they have talk about sustainability. They build everything. They own everything. Like, the Amish people in northern Indiana that I was around, they are rich as fuck. Like, they have so much cash. They work, like, they make money, they farm. Some of them even work in some of the factories. They get like they go and work in because they're carpenters, so they'll work in like the RV factories and stuff like that, and building trailers and fifth wheels, and then like they just go home and bank all their money. They have no debt. They owe nothing. They build their own homes as a community together. They all get together to go build the next person's house. Like, when they get married, all this other stuff. Talk about sustainability. Google, for it to grow, has to take on a ton of debt and financing and a ton of VC money, and then with that comes expectations. Like, if an investor went into Amish country and was like, "Look, guys, you got something here. There's a lot of people that like what you're doing. Like, I want to see in 10 years, I want you to be 750,000, Amish
And
people.
then the Amish
We
say
can
no
do
thanks.
this. They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. What do
They
you
say
want?
no
What are you gonna
thanks.
do? Like, yeah, I mean, they'd be like, this is
This
what are you
is the
talking
reason
about?
why
Like,
this is the reason why they still exist today, and its
right.
population is growing and not reducing. Because the thing, you think about it, right? If we start a company and you let everybody in, eventually it's gonna have a lot of people, but
Be
a
awful.
lot of people are gonna leave because we are not compatible. What you believe in or what you thought you believe in is not what I believe in and what the
Right.
culture believes in. So
Slow and
that's
steady.
why I'm saying it's many are called, but a few's gonna get there, right?
This is why this is the 7th generation committee meeting, right? Because these are the conversations that we need to have to make sure that we remind ourselves, like, this isn't about being a supernova. This is about,
It's not about growing fast, and not
right.
because it's about the long journey, right? We
Yeah,
want to be here 1,000 years from now,
exactly.
a million years from now, however long that we can sustain. We want to be as long as possible, and we want to have the people that truly believes in themselves and truly believes in the core values and be compatible with the core values that others are put forth. Because
Exactly.
if you're not compatible, then you're basically gonna have this clash, and you become a supernova.
Right.
You know
And sure,
exactly as any of these tech companies.
and you may burn really bright for a while, but then it flames out, and because it's not sustainable. I mean, like, like, once again, I don't want to be Amish. Like, I'm not trying to say that I want to be Amish. What I want to be is clubbing Amish.
No, that's what the point I was trying to say is I want to make myself clear, and I want to make everybody understand.
Yeah.
Be who you are. Don't be Amish. Don't be this. Don't be that. Be who you are, right?
Right.
But the
and find other people like that.
The caveat is you have to ask yourself, who are you?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to be what make you you.
Agreed.
Right? To me, so in all these episodes, all these talks, right? We're talking about the monkey, we're talking about the painters, we're talking about the Amish people, we're talking about Sherman, we're talking about, Zeke or who or many other people in all the episode. These are examples we want to illustrate the point of you as an individual person with your own personal uniqueness and your own personal journey and own personal purpose. It's all about that perspective. It's never the intention for us to tell you to be Amish. It's never intention for us to be for you to be a Peaver.
Yeah.
Or be a company. I mean,
right.
I don't care. You can join a company. I mean, that's not what I want.
Right.
I do not want you to join a company. Right? If you want to join a company, is let's see if you're compatible. Because I don't want people in that doesn't have the same core values as I do. Because there's no point. It's gonna waste my time and waste your time. Why do that?
It's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's perfectly fine if you don't. There's nothing wrong with that, because I mean, that's what I'm saying all the time. Is everybody's unique.
It's not even that it's not wrong.
Everybody be the same.
It's right. It's not that it even is. It's not wrong. It's actually right. We don't all have the same values. Like, you and I don't have the same values. We have enough shared values that we want to build a community around that. But we're still individual people. Like, I mean, each one of these Amish people, they're not just Amish. Like, like they're people. It's Jacob Yoder or whatever his name is, and he does whatever he does. But he's a part. The community that he belongs to is shared values that he. I mean,
he values the core, the principle that he values. Right. It's the same as the other people inside of the community. So we want the same thing for Clubney. Is you want to join Clubney. For me to be a part of that meaningful relationship, right? You need to hold some of the common values that I hold.
Agreed. That's pivotal for that's the meaningful relationships portion of it. Like, you and I wouldn't be talking if we didn't have a lot of shared values together that we wanted to build this community around, because it would be like, what are we talking about? This goes
because
I'd
be bored, because it's not what I want.
This
is not what I want, before. And I'll be bored and then say, forget it, Chris. This is just a chore.
I agree. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, where you're a talker and you love to talk. I only love to talk when it's engaging, you know. If I'm
But
engaged, I
that's the
love to
point,
talk.
is, you know, because we talk about the things that's important and we agree on things that is important to you. Because if I talk about something that isn't important to you, it
Yeah, I'd be
becomes
like, I'm bored. Right.
exhaustive little chore that you have to do every day, and that won't last. I guarantee you, even if you are very, very competitive, I will give you 6 months,
I mean,
maximum 6 months. You
tap
probably
into
bail out of me
willpower.
in a month. I,
Remember, willpower's a finite resource, right? Like
it is.
I mean, it is. I mean, so like
Willpower is power. Power requires energy. And if you
willpower,
spend it, it's going to deplete.
it will. I mean, so it'll exhaust you. You will exhaust your willpower. But you know what? Well, exhaust is purpose, and that's what we keep talking about all day long. Like the Amish have a shared purpose, and I respect them for it. Like it just keeps, the more that we go down this road, the more I learn about other cultures, the more I learn about, you know, how these like
And the
Mormonism, right?
more we get it.
The more that we get it, yeah, exactly. The more that we go, the more that we go. Like the reflection title says, the more that I go, I didn't get it then, but I get it now. You know, it's like I couldn't see it before. I shit you not. Like I used to see these people in the supermarket, and I'm like, you guys are so fucking weird. I mean, this is what I'm thinking my entire time. I'm like, it was almost like it was weird. It was so counterculture, the way that these people live, and it's such a stark contrast between everybody else. But then they try to walk amongst other people, and you're like, what are you doing? But you and I are walking amongst other people. I work at a company. You do.
That's what people call me insane and stupid.
Well, and they. I mean, that's a good thing in a weird way. Where like, here's the problem: is if it's just you, then it sucks, right? But if you got a community around you, you're like, I don't give a shit. I got a community around me. It's fine. They get it. Like, you don't need to get it. They get it. Like, you know, and that's all that matters. Like the Amish people go home and go, I don't care what Chris Sears said at the Martin supermarket when he was in his head, you know, when he was looking around going, who the fuck are these people? You know, like, get back in your horse and buggy and get out of here. Like, what you're just stupid rules. Just pick up a phone and go to church, you know, use the internet or something like that. And like, you know, whatever. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, it was,
I mean, it's just like asking you to say, hey, use a fucking wheelchair.
No.
You think about it. Hey, Chris, use a fucking wheelchair. You don't have to walk. Saves you the energy. You know,
right.
But then you say, no, I don't want a wheelchair.
or true, take a warm shower, and you're like, no, I don't want to.
No, I want a cold shower.
You take a warm shower, I take a cold shower. It's fine. Like, you know, but you're like, true.
Exactly.
A warm shower feels good. It's more comfortable. And you're like, I get it.
No, actually no. Cold, warm shower is not comfortable. You understand? The thing is, what's comfortable really to you? To think about it, like you're talking about, hey, a fish out of water, right, or a rabbit underwater. I mean, it's not universal. Right. Nothing is universal. You can't say a cold shower is not good and warm shower is good for everybody. No.
No, I didn't say it's good. I said it's easy. I said it's
not easy. It's hard. It's hard because you reject it. You think about a fish out of water and me in underwater, right? I don't want to be underwater. The fish said, you know,
right,
it feels good underwater. And I tell the fish, it feels good not to be underwater.
Right.
That's my
true.
point.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
nothing is universal. You can't say, well, yeah, warm shower is it's good. Oh, it's warm. I don't know what you're gonna call it, but it's not. Depending on who you are.
Fair enough. I mean, like, point taken. But anyway, so interesting conversation for tonight. I think we're kind of way over time now. So
I think this is taken from like 15 minutes to like 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was a long one. But
regardless of what topic it is, it comes like, hey, we're talking about Amish people.
Right.
I say, I have no idea what Amish people are. And then we talk about an hour and a half.
I told you going into this one, I was like, this is gonna be a weird one because it's like this is kind of an off the wall, little bit of a weird topic, you know. Like I said, it's a mashup of range of you know, experiences in life where you're like, we're the things that I'm describing to you, like I vividly see them in my head of engaging with Amish people in my community. I still see them every once in a while down here in Indianapolis. They'll come down to like the zoo or something like that, you know, here in the Indianapolis Zoo, and I'll see him walking around the zoo while Felicia and I are pushing his shoulder around with Luca. And nowadays, like, I still get that. I always have to do a double take because they stand out so much because of their clothes they wear and whatever, and their beards that are like, you know, weird, you know, shaven beards, and you're like, and they wear these big top hats, like they just stick out like a sore thumb, and you're always like, oh, it's the Amish people. Before in the past, my mind immediately would have been like, you guys are fucking weird. Like now I'm like, rock on, you know, like,
yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
keep,
be
you know,
you, be
keep
you,
doing
yeah.
what you do. So like, you know, if any Amish person's listening to this, which I hope to God they're not, you know, because they're probably going to be like, man, these people just don't understand, you know, like, you know, and
we don't,
and
we don't, we
and
don't.
I like 100% agree. You know, it's like if we were trying to do a breakdown of Bridgewater Capital and their culture, would be like, I don't get it and I don't want to get it, but I get it. You know what I mean? Like I get it, but I don't get it. Like, you know, and I don't want to. So same thing with Clubany. You know, they probably don't get it, and I don't want them to unless they want to get it. Then if they do, then come on down. Let's
If
talk.
you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't.
Right. And that's fine. So anyway, all right. So that's my final thought. Any final thoughts for you?
Final thought is don't be a donkey in the shed.
Don't be a dog in a shed. That's a new truism. I like it. It has been written in stone. It is now locked down and into the Slack chat. Like, you know, never to be forgotten. So don't be a donkey in the shed. The question we can leave for anybody that's still listening to this one, because this is a long one, is what are some cultures, ideas, and things hiding in plain sight that deserve a second look for you? And you know, the crack in the matrix, or you know, or however True is describing it. So think about that, and we will see you all on Monday. And that concludes our running with Sherman trilogy. Yeah. hope you enjoyed it.
It's been a great ride. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. All right.
We'll see you next time. Good night.